Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade Swansong. And I'm really glad you guys enjoyed the first few episodes of the series.
No,
I certainly did.
Not there.
There's just something
Mr.
about
Teddy?
this format, the Telltale game style format that Big Bad Wolf do, which they did with the Council originally, and now this, that is just so awesome, and I think fits this world like a glove, all the political intrigue and such. But
He must be
we're still
hiding
trying
somewhere else.
to untie this very, very tight knot. We're currently playing as our Malkavian friend, Leysha, and we did a little bit of undercover work for the Prince about all trying to find information on all the Primogen, making sure that they were all in good shape. Now, I thought that we were done, but I actually got told, and I'm glad, I'm going to say this is one of the voices in Leysha's head, that we actually are missing something. And what we have to do here is we apparently have to not get close to Hilda, but go into Hilda's room. Because remember, we overheard her talking and then we just backed out. We didn't actually explore any of this. So let's go ahead and I'm hoping that her Auspex doesn't actually track us, but apparently there's something here in her room that we need to look at. November 4th, 1926. You must forgive me. I admit that I went too far, but you left me no choice. You don't understand what's going on inside me. I can't stand the thought of you watching me grow old, imagining that you'll go on alone without me after I'm gone. I don't want to just tell you that I could die for you. I want to be able to show everyone that I died for us. I know you're angry. I understand that you're risking your neck if I keep urging you to make me your partner for eternity without permission. So ask for it. If you love me, I beg you, ask for it. Or I'll end up dying anyway. Because without you, life will be of no interest anymore. I know that. Hilda, I love you, and you're the only one who could let me add forever to it. For real. Your mem. Interesting. So, hey Suzanne, thank you very much for that tier 1 sub. Remember guys, all bit subs and ad revenue here on the channel get paid every month to the Children's Hospital. So thank you for supporting the channel and supporting the kids. How you doing, man? We can hack with technology. What? Oh, her phone.
A cell phone? But they're not allowed. Hilda likes to play with fire.
So do we, technically.
What game is she playing here?
It's no good. We have to speed up. Rest assured, it's under control. Still no news. What are you playing at? I'll send you a new agenda. The new agenda is not what we agreed on. Do you want to back out? No delays this time. Well, stop contacting me for no reason. So someone named P. Make sure that she's still there with her paintings. Email to Hazel Iverson. Dear Miss Iverson, I have received your summons to the Extraordinary Council meeting on October 21st, 2019. Rest assured that I will be present at the meeting. Sincerely, Hilda McAndrews. I'm hanging in there. I'm tired, but we're going to persevere. Very smart to have a fire extinguisher available. It must be very significant for her to actually have a phone, because that is a serious no-no in these days of the Second Inquisition. Okay, I'm glad we were told by one of the voices in Leysha's head to head over here. You want that bathroom? Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Okay, let's look at what exactly we have to do here. Join Halsey in Richard's office. I was also told to read up on her as well. Is she actually here, though? Boston. Ah, here we go. Halsey. Clan Malkavian, Generation 11th, date of embrace 1939. Halsey is Leysha's daughter. Her Malkavian nature has kept her mind that of a little girl. For Halsey, everything must be a game, hide and seek, a story, but above all, everything must be done with her mother, from whom she does not like to be separated. Now, did we... Yeah, we actually did read up on Leysha. And it doesn't say who her... Oh. Date of embrace, 1939. Halsey's generation. Or date of embrace, 1939. And remember what I said, that her generation is one lower than Leysha's herself. Interesting. Alright, now I feel more comfortable exploring all of this.
I see guilt.
No, he's not there.
Richard often asked me.
Mr. Teddy?
Okay, we need to check. We actually need to read this because we saw this at the end of the last stream, but I think I didn't go through the entire thing. March 6th. Unknown origin. 13 members of the court caught in a sudden
hiding somewhere else.
Collective panic for several minutes. Quentin King, our prince, called for an investigation. Closed without any conclusive findings in 1988 after the prescribed 10 years of investigation. Unknown origin. Halloween. The servants of the Primogen apartments began to hum the same song for 1 hour. Quentin King, our prince, called for an investigation. Closed. Nova, thank you very much for that tier 1 sub. Ta-da! Quentin King, our prince, called for an investigation.
Where are you, Mr. Teddy?
Closed without any conclusive findings in 1988 after the prescribed 10 years of investigation. Suzanne, the lower the gen, the lower the number means the older they are. So Leysha actually either embraced her, or there's something, or Leysha is something in her mind. There's something definitely strange and Malkavian going on. Because every single time you have a child, your generation goes up a level. So a 10th gen, if they created vampires, those vampires would be 11th gen. Then 11th would beget 12th gen, and so on and so forth. October 31st, 1999. Unknown origin. The servants in the prince's quarters all laughed hysterically for 1 hour. Quentin King called for an investigation. Closed without any conclusive findings.
He must be hiding somewhere else.
Miss Hazel Iverson, our prince, reported feeling a sudden and brief mental intrusion during her speech. Miss Hazel Iverson, our prince, called for an investigation. Closed after investigation. Report delivered in person. August 8th. Unknown origin.
No,
feeling
not there.
of imminent death.
Where are you, Mr. Teddy?
Felt by several members of the court, lasting several minutes. Iverson called for an investigation. Closed after investigation. Report delivered in person. October 31st. Another Halloween. Unknown origin. Servants in the Primogen's apartments began vomiting for several minutes. Vessels present experienced uncontrollable crying fits through the night. Prince called for an investigation. Closed and report delivered in person.
Teddy.
So different ways of dealing with problems between the former prince and the current prince. For sure. And the good doctor here has an old school... We need to find like a floppy disk or some such.
He must be hiding somewhere else.
How many hours have I spent sitting in this armchair for my therapy sessions?
Dear Dr. Dunham, as instructed, I've prepared the donors you listed for the unification party. They'll be ready for you to pick up at 9 p.m. at the Red Salon. I think that your guests will be impressed by the quality of the vintages you're offering them. And I hope they will fully appreciate the fruits of your labors. Betty. Now, are we still using Auspex? We better.
Mr. Teddy.
Oh, I thought that photo changed under the Auspex. That was going to be incredibly creepy. So, oh, that's not freaky at all.
He must be hiding somewhere else.
Rub-a-dub bath time.
A floppy disk. That's all Richard knows how to use.
No, he's not there. Where are you, Mr. Teddy?
Maybe I'll find a way to read it.
Okay, we got the floppy. Don't think there was anything else. I honestly just want to get this done so I don't have to hear Leysha talk about the Teddy.
Mr. Teddy.
We're going to play some TIE Fighter. Dear Miss Iverson, as per your request, Mr. Underwood came to the Red Salon to carry out a review in view of the collaboration with the Hartford Tremere. We can confirm that production can triple if we expand operations into our basement.
No,
I think it would be wise to create a reserve and allocate only 1/3 of our production to Hartford. We will also provide a temperature-controlled storage area for this purpose. As for your more practical questions, please do not include the formulas I have been able to work out in your dealings.
He must be hiding somewhere else.
Mr. Underwood also feels that we need to keep them secret in order to keep the advantage of this agreement. We both feel that convincing them to send Tremere to Boston to perform the blood stabilization tests would be a better alternative. As for an industrialized production of more than 400 units per week, I prefer to err on the side of caution. I am able to produce everything alone in my laboratory. Aiming for more at the start will require a move and would surely get us noticed by our suppliers of raw materials.
Mr. Teddy.
I hope to have provided you with the missing information for your discussions on this agreement, which, in addition to the giant step forward that would make possible for science, will undoubtedly be the dawn of a new Boston under your reign. Sincerely yours, Dr. Dunham.
Richard must have had a breakthrough, if Hazel's interested in it. Only Richard would still use that.
Can we put the can we grab the floppy disk and put it back in the... Okay, I guess we can.
So, did you find your Teddy?
No, not yet. I'm not sure he's here. What about you? Did you finish your job for the prince?
Yes, I found something that might be of interest to Hazel.
Does that mean we're going back to see the prince then?
Not quite, Pumpkin. I want to take another look around. You wait for me here, but be good.
I will.
I wonder if we can find the Teddy. I kind of doubt it would be here, but... No, we've checked all of this, unless there's something...
No, he's not there. Where are you, Mr. Teddy?
Richard always liked masks. Like all children of Malkov.
Alright, let's go ahead and get out of here.
Are you almost done?
Yes, I found something that might be of interest to Hazel.
Does that mean we're going back to see the prince then?
Let's go, Sugarfangs.
Well, we cleared those goals. Kind of.
Leysha. I'm all ears.
Everything went all right.
I knew I could count on you. Was Halsey a good girl?
Yes, as usual.
Good. Were you able to find anything interesting in Ms. Drury's apartments?
Yes, there was intel she had gathered on the guests, including those from the Hartford Chantry.
Anything about their regent, Deneb Osborne?
Yes, he seems to be obsessed with memory magic.
Interesting.
I gave everything to Delson.
Thank you. I'll take a look at it later. Were you able to see or hear anything interesting?
We have so many things here. Sure. The weird reflections, we are currently using Auspex right now, I think. Or we're obfuscated and she can just see us.
Hilda was in her room. She was acting strangely.
What do you mean?
She was whispering things, talking to a picture of MM.
Touching, but that's of no importance.
We're just going to go down the line.
At Dijon's, I found a letter addressed to the Salem Chantry.
Did he betray me for the Warlocks?
I don't know. It just said that he's participating in your project, but that he would have preferred an agreement with Salem.
Oh, I understand his recent illusions a little better now. I'm going to need to have a word with him. Go on.
I had a vision.
I knew you would. What did you see? Was I in your vision?
I think it was me. My forehead was on fire.
All right. Do you have any idea what it could mean?
Not in the slightest. Are you disappointed?
The important thing is that you're starting to have visions again.
I like how the prince was just like, alrighty. Couldn't hear what a Mem and Journey were saying. Let's not talk about a Mem and Journey. Hey, King.
I also found that at Jara's. A file on the party. It's a record of everything Journey did.
That could be useful. Give it to Delsin on your way out. Anything else?
Trait gained Merciful.
That's all I was able to find.
I knew I could count on you. Thank you, Leysha.
Richard still wasn't there. Were you able to find out anything else?
Yes, one of my servants just came back from his bar, the Red Salon. As that's where he does his research, I had hoped to find him there. But she confirmed that Dr. Dunham had gone to the party early with a few of his vessels. I'm sorry, Leysha.
No. If he had been destroyed, I would have felt it. I have to go find him.
You're the most discreet of all of us, it's true. But we have no idea what might have happened there. It could be dangerous.
I won't be alone. Halsey will be with me.
Of course. And one last thing. Dr. Dunham wasn't the only one there. There was also Miley, my child. Bring her back to me.
Yes, of course. We'll leave right away.
I wouldn't expect anything less of you. Thank you, Leysha.
Leysha's got a pretty potent assignment ahead of her. Oh, okay. Each scene ends with an overview of your accomplishments, failures, and what you could have done differently. For each success, your character earns experience points. Cool. Introspective, minus 20 to the next experience cost for the Auspex discipline. Plus 10% success rate in a rhetoric tie. You let the premonition overtake you. You gave the prince the documents that would certainly clear Journey's name, so that's good. You listened in to hear what was on Hilda McAndrew's mind. You found a letter from Dijon confirming his preference for the Salem Chantry. You told the prince about what was in Dijon's letter. Alternative, you could have spied on the conversation between Amem and Journey. You could have discovered Burrell Underwood's preoccupations, which wasn't going to happen because our stats were way too low. So I think all in all we did pretty decent. So, 75 XP is nothing to sneeze at. Oh.
Come here.
Thanks, You've brought me Journey. I knew I could count on you.
Now, the good news is that Journey was proven innocent. So, technically, unless the prince has some ulterior motive, because she's the prince, she's probably going to have one, Journey should be okay.
Jay is waiting in the antechamber. She's nervous. Tell Delsin to go easy on her.
We'll see about that.
Did you need me for anything else?
Not right now, but I will soon. I have one more favor to ask of you.
All right. I'll be waiting in the next room.
Oh. Okay, and 75 for a mem. Put in her place, minus 10 to the next experience cost for the mental attribute. You obeyed the prince. Journey followed you to the prince's. You spied on a conversation about Journey. Able to retrace Journey's steps before she left thanks to her scent. And a resonance bonus to presence. You could have tried to convince Journey to flee. Yeah, she does kind of have LaCroix, but I think that's probably a generalization that a lot of princes tend to take. That they're agreeable, but at the same time, no nonsense. LaCroix had a lot more cracks in his, armor, for lack of a better term. Oh, we get to play as the Ventrue now. Galeb Gazory, Eternal Protector. Mortal kings had their lackeys. The princes of Boston have Galeb. While rulers come and go, Galeb remains, and his presence tonight is not reassuring. Now we need to decide. Hearing that, like a Wetworks kind of guy, I would think veteran, but I'm not sure what that does. So let's double check that. Education, physical, mental, not in social, which is strange. What about disciplines? Do we have higher? Oh, we got 2 in fortitude. That's why our stats are a little bit low. I mean, I don't mind that. I'm not mad at it. What does the fortitude do? Walls of the mind generates 1 less. Available only in exploration. Ability to withstand physical pain. The hunger cost depends on your fortitude rating and the difficulty of the interaction. Awe and compel. What do you guys think? Should we just go with the veteran vibe? Because I think this is probably pretty accurate to what we've seen of Galeb so far. He has this intimidating presence. He's kind of a smooth talker. And probably looks like he can not necessarily handle himself in a fight, but take a punch, at least. Think we should go with this, or maybe go custom again? I like the rhetoric and intimidation. He doesn't look like the persuading kind of gentleman. We've already got Leysha for security and technology. The social is a little bit but the physical increases the intimidation, so I do like that. All right, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and go with this. We'll do one of the presets for one of the kindred, and it will be Galeb. Now, Toreadors have presence. Malkavians have dominate. The thing that really sets Galeb apart is fortitude, so the die is cast. Pretty artifacts.
My prince. Delsin.
Gazory.
It
Man.
seems that the Camarilla is in danger. I am at your disposal.
Yes.
Your sense of duty is a credit to you, Galeb. You haven't lost your touch, I hope. The code red is linked to the unification party with the Chantry. No one there is answering anymore.
I love the fact that he called it the Camarilla.
How many of us were there?
Probably a good 20, give or take.
Jeez.
Dr. Dunham and our top spy, Jaradrori, were already there.
We might have lost 2 members of the Primogen. What about Hartford? Have you heard from them?
If those dogs had anything to do with what happened, I'll cut their throats myself.
Do you think they might be involved?
I don't know.
That might be trying to instantly cut a Tremere's throat is probably a lot harder than one would think, I would say.
It's too early to draw any conclusions.
Where do you want to start?
Can I count on you?
You have no reason to doubt me.
One by one, the Ancilai heed the beckoning and go east. You're the eldest in the city now. Don't do this to me. Not now. I would be very grateful to you. And Fang.
How may I be of service?
Go and see Caius with Jaragon. He's in charge of security. He may have learned something.
You can count on me.
You have my absolute confidence, Galeb.
So, wait. This guy, in terms of his facial structure and how he talks, he reminds me of the actor who played Daedalus in Kindred the Embraced. They look very similar. Despite the fact that Daedalus was an Nosferatu, but like the facial structure. Looking sharp there, boss. Ventrue, don't run. Actually, we need
Mr.
to...
Underwood, I'm sorry, but my instructions are clear.
You little shit.
I'm just following orders.
You have no idea what's at stake.
Don't mention stakes here. That's actually the first time we've seen him kind of beside himself. Let's go ahead and read up on our esteemed Ventrue. Protector of the Camarilla. Date of embrace 1745. 11th gen, and he's considered the eldest. So, basically in this new world of darkness, not only did the elders, like the really old vampires, head to this beckoning in the east, so did the Ancilai, who weren't like super powerful. They were the ones kind of vying to become elders. Like, a lot of kindred society has kind of been reduced down to bare bones, which is very interesting. A huge power vacuum, to say the least. The Imperial Throne. In 1710, in Constantinople, not Istanbul, Marissa, the King's Light, gave birth to Sezad Suleiman, her firstborn son. Apologies for butchering that pronunciation, and the rest of this to come. Marissa, whose birth name was Jeanette de Bazory, left France and joined the harem of Ahmed III, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, the previous year, and quickly became his favorite. She was a doting mother who was constantly concerned about the child who was destined to inherit his father's throne. Suleiman, for his part, was given an excellent education and learned about courtly life with his younger brother, Sezad Mustafa. The two brothers had very different personalities. While Suleiman was quiet, stubborn, and adventurous, Mustafa was more versatile and fearful. The Fall. In 1730, their father, Ahmed III, became unpopular, and the Janissaries revolted against him and forced him to abdicate in favor of his nephew. From that moment on, the seething Suleiman began plotting revenge in the long term to restore his father to the throne. Although he was aware of the problems this would cause, he felt that the only thing to do was to put the rightful ruler back on his throne. His mother, having heard of this, made him promise to give up his plan and disappear before the Janissaries could kill him. She convinced him to leave for the west by faking his death. Suleiman secretly set sail one night in 1732. Marissa died a few weeks later out of grief over the loss of her son, it was said. However, the truth was quite different. Having caught wind of her betrayal, the Janissaries murdered her. New life. The boat that belonged to Jeanette de Bazory's family took Suleiman to the port of Antwerp, where, in homage to his mother, he called himself Galeb Gazory. He was adopted by a family of diamond merchants who traded between Europe and the New World, and whose newfound fortune grew rapidly. Under their guidance, Galeb sailed the oceans in search of new business ventures. He honed his knowledge of astronomy and mathematics, forged relationships around the globe, and used the opportunity to weave an impressive web of influence. His business dealings brought him into contact with aristocrats, whose conventions he mastered, as well as with drunken sailors whom he learned to manage. Out of necessity, he became a leader. His natural authority and his ability to adapt won him respect. Little by little, his life on the deck of the ship became his only source of pleasure. He never set foot in his native land again. It was through sailors that he learned of his mother's death, followed by that of his father, and finally his brother, Mustafa III's ascension to the throne. A throne that could have been his. A family that he could have saved. No matter how far he sailed, these thoughts were always with him. The embrace. During a stop in Cadiz in 1740, he met Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a renowned French explorer and merchant who had supposedly died in Moscow in 1689. In reality, he was a Ventrue seeking to expand his control of the diamond trade at all costs. The collaboration between the two men proves to be fruitful, even beyond Tavernier's expectations. Bazory's effectiveness and his discretion delighted him. In the space of a few years, their professional dealings were enriched by secrets, and the young sailor saw in his mentor the father figure that he never really had. One calm night after a particularly turbulent Atlantic crossing, Galeb opened up to Tavernier a bit more and told him about his background. Tavernier understood what appealed to him about this young sailor. His nobility, which, although hidden, naturally emanated from him. A thought came to Tavernier, who had never sired anyone before. He began to treat Galeb like a true member of his family and spoke to him about the occult to gauge his reaction. Then came the thorny issue of revealing his true nature. Tavernier portrayed the embrace as a gift. It didn't take much to convince the young sailor of the value of agelessness. Galeb accepted. His embrace was painful and bitter. It took him several days to be able to tolerate the beast that would now gnaw at him for all eternity. Tavernier attempted to focus his child's anger on the revenge that he would get against those who had deprived him of his throne, but Galeb did not see things that way. His thirst for justice was replaced by a disgust for humankind and a growing disinterest in their affairs. He now wished to rise above the kind, to use his eternity for previously impossible purposes. His sire, who saw a certain interest in it, let his child experiment. Galeb spent half a century roaming the seven seas of the globe, getting rich by acquiring diamond mines and trading companies. He toyed with the laws of men, but scrupulously respected the principles that Tavernier had instilled in him. The mutually beneficial and balanced relationship continued until the early 19th century. And that takes a lot of courage if become a kindred and still sail on boats. Because that, how long voyages took back then. A hunter's instincts. Under the pretext of wanting to share his love of nature and the great outdoors with Galeb, Jean-Baptiste invited him to go to the Moricet region to meet an old acquaintance of his, the explorer Toussaint Charbonneau. Apologies to the French people. The gangrel chose to establish his den in the heart of the forest and lived like an animal. Despite his sire's instructions, Galeb had difficulty finding Charbonneau. After a physical encounter, the trapper understood why Tavernier had sent him this Ventrue, so he attempted to share his connection to the animal world with him, as he had done with his sire before him. While Galeb was not interested in his ability to communicate with animals, his talent at tracking prey seemed more worthy of a kindred. It even proved to be necessary in the midst of this forest for a palate as refined as his, which was not to be satisfied with just any kind of blood. I am actually wondering what Galeb's particular gourmet tendency is. With practice, Galeb was able to track down his prey on his own. Charbonneau even trained him to differentiate the essence of a mortal from that of a kindred, or even from that of a lupine. The onset of the winter season forced the men to part ways. Charbonneau headed back to the Pacific. Gazory returned to civilization with a new skill. Although he would never reveal this to his sire, he was thankful to him for having given him this opportunity. Settling down in Boston. In 1806, with the Napoleonic Wars tearing Europe apart, Galeb met James Underwood, who, through the Sugar Trust, controlled the refined sugar trade. With the United States under an embargo, Underwood's business was failing. Galeb mustered all of his knowledge to organize a large-scale smuggling operation, amassing a small fortune in the process. Underwood and Gazory formed a close friendship. Burrell Underwood was born in 1807 and inherited the business from his father, James, when he died in 1833. Galeb knew Burrell, as he had watched him grow up. The 26-year-old heir asked the man he viewed as his mentor to stay with him and help him, and Galeb agreed for several reasons. His respect for this business-minded mortal who he deemed worthy of his interest, his honor that urged him not to abandon the relationship he had with James, and the profits he could make. He felt that his future lay in the New World and that it was better to settle there as soon as possible. It was with the agreement of his sire that he moved to Boston for good. Tavernier sensed that Galeb had made great progress, and it was clear that the student had surpassed the master. He felt a kind of pride in this. While keeping his distance, he remained in regular contact with his child, treating him as an equal. It was on Galeb's advice that he moved to South Africa to set up new diamond mines. The child. Burrell Underwood exceeded Galeb's expectations. He was more talented than his father, and the Ventrue had something to do with it. But a vampire cannot become involved with a mortal over the long term without compromising their identity. Over the years, Burrell's doubts led him to question Galeb, who gave him a frank answer. He admitted his monstrous nature to him. This was far from repellent to Burrell, who became more determined and asked Galeb to give him the embrace. Galeb had never thought of siring a child himself, so he put off the decision and did not accept until 1869. So this was in 1807 when Burrell was born, so he waited quite a bit. Burrell's embrace was quick. He immediately felt empowered. His ambition knew no bounds, and he sought to enrich himself by any means necessary. The Sugar Trust became the center of an international conglomerate that extended beyond the sugar trade. Burrell was involved in every plot, every betrayal. Galeb began to be suspicious of him, and he withdrew, which Burrell did not forgive him for. Executor. Over the course of the 20th century, seeing Burrell's unscrupulous behavior corrupting the kind through the environmental and health impacts of his business, Galeb distanced himself from the business. He felt he had created a monster, a threat to all kindred. Quentin King, the Prince of Boston, offered him the position of executor of the prince, which he accepted as a means of escape. King made him one of his favorite tools, sending him to hunt down those who threatened the Boston Camarilla. So another term for that is not only the executor or executor, but the scourge. The sheriff is normally the one who kind of walks around and maintains law and order throughout the entire thing, but when the prince needs essentially a hatchet man, he sends the scourge. So I like the fact that they had this kind of formal title for him here. After centuries of building a business empire, chasing opportunities, and eliminating competitors, Galeb derived satisfaction from the simple task of doing what he was told. He didn't count the kindred destroyed, the mortals killed, or the thin blood suppressed. He served his prince with his signature loyalty. When Burrell Underwood joined Quentin King's Primogen Council, Galeb grew wary. The beckoning. In recent years, the elders have started to feel an increasingly insistent urge to travel. Tavernier was one of the first to give in. Not having been warned, Galeb considered this a betrayal. However, he also felt this same need. He was almost ready to give in to it, but King's disappearance changed everything. Underwood asked Galeb to become the new Prince of Boston. He hoped to be able to manipulate Galeb to serve his own interests, but Galeb knew his child all too well and refused this poisoned gift. So it was Hazel Iverson who became the Prince of Boston. Quickly, she surprised everyone by proving to be much less manipulable than expected, which was a pleasant surprise to Galeb. He then decided to put himself at her service. Iverson was happy to have a renowned ally like him and accepted. One last wish. His interest in the Camarilla and his kind was renewed as this new prince seemed to hold her own and had great plans for the future. It was during the same period that Galeb heard about a young mortal who had just graduated from MIT and had gone to Silicon Valley to found a startup specializing in the blue economy. He inquired about her and finally met her. Finally, he won her trust and offered to make her his ghoul, with the aim of embracing her in the near future. He hoped to make her the counterpart of Burrell's self-destructive drive. However, Hazel Iverson did not subscribe to the same policy as Quentin King and would not grant the right to sire so easily. She even saw it as a way to maintain control over her precious Galeb, who was forced to wait. Consumed by the beckoning, he would no longer bring himself to leave without having repaired what he considered to be his greatest mistake. And remember, in previous streams, we found out that Burrell was actually looking up like every piece of information that he could about Galeb's ghoul, maybe to try and either use her to get to Galeb, or in, I think, maybe a competition to see who gets her first. So who knows where that story is going to go.
My most honored sire, you're wasting your time here.
Good lord.
I'd forgotten about your abject fawning.
I call it respect. It appears that it's something that sewer rats know nothing about. Apparently, Caius feels he's entitled to refuse to see a member of the Primogen. I won't forget it.
Dialogue powers. Dialogue powers can be used on all compatible dialogue choices. To use a dialogue power, you must activate it in the selection wheel, then select a dialogue option. Only one dialogue power may be active at a time. You may activate or deactivate the power as long as no dialogue option has been selected. Using a power generates hunger. Alright. So... wait, L2? Increases the success rate by 50% in the next skill defense tie. Whew. I mean, we can start spending some willpower right now, if we want to. It's the first time we can ever actually compete against Burrell. What do you guys think? Should we actually go ahead and start spending willpower right now, or should we give it some time? That's a lot of willpower right off the bat. David says, spend it. I mean, we can go... Does spending it gain us anything? Yeah. You know, I think we're going to wait. We're not going to do this. That's a lot of stuff right off the bat.
Sorry to hear it.
Tell me, you haven't introduced me to your charming protege yet.
Zufeng.
Yes, Zhu Feng, a name that's as delectable as her blood, I'm sure. Ah, you're planning to introduce her to the very select club of Galeb Gazory's progeny, aren't you?
Well, we're not able to defend ourselves. We got no persuasion.
I hope that the prince will allow me to, shortly.
I hope so for your sake. Who knows? Dear Hazel is so unpredictable. At any rate.
What did we just get? Chatterbox. Minus 10% success rate and intimidation tie. Ew.
It would be an honor for me to welcome and guide her.
You will speak of nothing with her at all.
Is that an order?
A word of advice.
Oh, pardon me. I fell out of the habit of receiving advice from you so long ago. Well, if you'll excuse me, I must end this ever so pleasant conversation. I need to find a way to avoid losing too much money.
What fun!
This is a handwritten list. These names sound familiar.
But we don't have deduction. Ah! Okay.
Mr. Gazory, can I help you?
I need to see Caius.
He doesn't want anyone to bother him.
Prince's orders.
I see. He's holed up in the server room. You'll need a pass to get in. There's one on his desk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Ooh. One on his desk. Let's go ahead and leaf through. 10-year report on mortal evolution and environmental degradation. Pollution and environmental degradation are some of the major problems currently plaguing the planet. These scourges are caused by a variety of factors that adversely impact the basic functions of the ecosystem, and thus the sustainability of all life, resources, and mortal existence. These environmental problems, especially global warming, are currently very worrying for the future of the planet, and consequently on the maintenance of a satisfactory qualitative level of our blood supply. See, this is why they're like environmental concerns are a big thing for Kindred. Because some Kindred are very industrious and they just want to make money, they don't care. But a lot of Kindred are like, hey, if all the humans die, we don't have food. So there's that battle going on too. Overpopulation presents a danger for the environment because the increase of the population requires more buildings, more food, which involves deforestation, as well as overexploitation and pollution of the land. Production of polluting waste. The detritus and waste product produced by humans are a major cause of environmental degradation. It comes from an intensive and unreasonable production of chemical products. This waste from industrial activities, factories, and hospitals is a source of toxic emissions. Large-scale production is also a threat to the environment because it leads to air, water, and soil pollution and has direct effect on human, animal, and plant health.
Long night.
Listen to the vampires, people. Please and thank you. Now, keep in mind, they're not supposed to use a lot of technology. Oh.
Nobody's allowed to go in or out.
Warning. Buy batteries.
She always said she preferred paper to digital. She always said she preferred paper to digital.
Jara Drory.
Blood tests from the Red Salon.
I don't know what's going on, and I'm afraid to find out.
I like your modulated voice.
I need quiet.
Both of you. Semi-secular report on the evolution of the mortal world demography. Once again, all indicators are positive regarding the global population. It has doubled since the last census, which is a major bright spot. However, it should also be noted this concerns mainly the megalopolises, or, megapolises. That is something to be monitored or even reversed by the end of the millennium. We also report another important issue that needs to be closely observed. The quality of mortals, which is starting to decline. Despite the trend toward organic and natural consumption that we have encouraged recently, the social and economic imbalances do not allow us to reverse the tendency of the decline in the quality of our mortals. Also, we note a quantitatively, or satisfactory rate state of our resources at the expense of its quality.
I don't like the sound of that.
I don't know if that's a really good argument though. Like, hey, can we save the planet so the vampires are happy?
Caius' office. The key card must be in there.
Cool. I see you. Nosferatu clan symbol there in the middle. Okay. Oop. Oh Lord. Mark Nightingale eliminated. Janine Jones okay. Clara Fitzpatrick eliminated. Are these all the... should be like 20 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's more than 20.
These screens aren't going to watch themselves.
Yeah, Galeb's voice actor is awesome. Can someone look that up for me, please? Oh, Lord.
I've seen Caius use this type of card to access the servers.
Okay, we got the magnetic card key. Woot. Need to find that code. I wish we can just zoom in on things, but I don't think that's how this game works. Okay. Ventrue's gonna run now. Graham Powell. Has Graham done anything that I would be familiar with?
Can I help you Mr. with something?
Underwood
Slammed his door. That's a bad sign. If I can do anything to help, let me know.
And we've arrived. There's our Nosferatu friend.
Do you know anything about servers? Then we have nothing to talk about right now.
Well, Ventrue know about servers, but not the computer kind.
I don't think I'm the person you need.
Wait, before we go do... Can we use that key? In here? Wait, was there something... Oh, okay. I'm always afraid I'm gonna miss something here. I'm especially paranoid with it because you guys told me that I missed that, what was it? Getting that stuff off the desk before. And the phone information.
If only Miss Drury were here.
Okay, already got that. Anything here I need to look before I talk to the esteemed Caius?
A list of ingredients and side effects.
Technology! Which I do not have. And that's going to be a significant problem. Because, like, we just don't have the stats. It looks like, all things considered.
Fuck. How long has it been since we've had an alert like this?
I've got no idea.
Mini moons, mini moons. Check everything else. I'm wanting to, like, I'm hitting my triggers, trying to, like, activate Auspex. Can we beat Underwood to a pulp? I mean, I'm okay with that. I think that's viable. Should we check and make sure everything here is good?
If only Miss Jory were here.
Can't leaf through that. Sorry, whenever I get a key, I always want to make sure that we can... if there's anything else that we can use it on. Because I get kind of paranoid that way.
Were you able to reach your contact?
No.
Is there anyone else that we need to read up on real quick before we talk to Caius? Do we have a thing on Caius? Oh, Lord, we've got Burrell. Ugh. Well, this is relatively fast. Let's go ahead and read up on him. 1869, Galeb Gazory, 11th gen, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Burrell was born in Boston in 1807. His father was the head of the Sugar Trust, a business that held a monopoly in the refined sugar trade. That same year, an embargo was levied against the U.S. in retaliation for their violation of neutrality in the Napoleonic Wars. American ships were seized and banned from trading in Europe. New England had no choice but to organize. James, Burrell's father, met a sailor by the name of Galeb Gazory, who offered to smuggle his sugar into Europe despite the ban. The two formed a bond of friendship and mutual respect, and Galeb watched the young Burrell grow over the course of his travels. Upon the death of his father in 1833, Burrell found himself alone at the head of the agri-food empire at the age of 26. Considering Galeb to be his spiritual father, he asked him to stay by his side. Galeb accepted and settled down in order to actively participate in the financial expansion of Burrell's business, providing him with sound advice. The young businessman inevitably became curious about his mentor's life and his seemingly eternal youth, very case of Charles Dexter Ward. Galeb agreed to tell Burrell the truth about his nature, after which Burrell would continually beg to receive the embrace. In 1869, Galeb consented. Burrell possessed the same qualities as his father, and Galeb grew fond of him. However, his new nature suddenly robbed him of any sense of limits. Burrell was ambitious, too ambitious. He managed to place a ghoul, William Havemeyer, as the mayor of New York City. Through his family, he created branches throughout Europe, which placed over half the world's sugar industry under his control in only 2 years. Burrell then became involved in the banking and investment sectors. Galeb would drift further and further away from his child. Underwood seemed to integrate himself everywhere. Deep within governments, on the boards of conglomerates, nothing could stop him. Nothing satisfied him. Burrell was infuriated by his sire's lack of recognition. To keep hold of the secrecy surrounding his hegemony, Burrell ordered the assassination of Hazel Iverson's father, thus cutting short, that rivalry. What he did not know at the time is that he would eventually support Hazel Iverson's rise to Prince of Boston soon after the disappearance of Quentin King. Although Galeb was his first choice, Galeb's refusal forced Burrell to revise his plans, so he opted for a young woman who was both ambitious and easily manipulated. Unfortunately, the puppet turned against the puppet master, and Hazel proved to be more difficult to control than expected. Worse, she earned Galeb's unconditional loyalty. Galeb's desire to sire another child was so intolerable for Underwood that he advised Iverson to refuse him this right. Whew. And now he looks like a Sith Lord. And acts like a Sith Lord, yeah. Unlimited power! I'm glad that Ventrue do not have Force Lightning. That would be, unfortunate. Okay. A little thing on the good... He's not Duke Leto, but he is Security Chief Leto. That's something for the Atreides. Cool. I think we may give his read here.
Still nothing.
In
I
a
don't
second.
like this.